Ron Barron just went on CNBC and he shut a lot of people up. Now, he was talking about the compensation package of Elon, how he's going to vote as one of the largest Tesla shareholders, and basically being a very outspoken, high-profile billionaire investor of Tesla. They asked his opinion about this whole debate, whether Elon should get that $56 billion package or he shouldn't because it's excessive, it's too much. Now, I like Ron Barron. He's direct, he's honest, and he offers zero bullshit. And when he talks, people listen. Now, he's an early investor in Tesla. In fact, his cost basis is $13. Get it in your head. Now, this is a prime example of how long-term, patient investing works. Guy buys at $13 many years ago. He ignores all the noise, all the hoopla, all the crazy talk around Tesla and just stays invested. In his entire holding period, he only sold 25% of his holdings, and that had nothing to do with himself. It's basically something he promised to some of his clients. 75% of his investment did not move from $13 all the way to the current price. He more than 10x his money. And he's still staying in because he thinks he's going to 10x it again. And naturally, this conversation was about the compensation package of Elon Musk. The panel asked Ron Barron, as a billionaire, as a high-profile Tesla investor, as an outspoken guy that everybody knows, what he's going to do in this vote. Is he voting for or against the reconfirmation of the compensation package that Elon Musk basically got back in 2018, but was revoked by a Delaware judge because it was deemed excessive? And yes, I understand that people might get confused. We are still in the United States of America. This is not a parallel universe where people get their contracts revoked because it is excessive. Yes.
So what do you think about this pay package? This is a pay package that shareholders approved once this Delaware judge has overturned it, and now it's going back to the shareholders again. How will you vote your shares?
We're voting for the package. So first of all, he was, when we started, these numbers are pretty cool. Then we started, when I met him in 2010, they were doing 2,000 cars a year. And then in 2014, I was 31,000 cars. That's when we started buying. In 2016, 76,000 cars. And last year, 1,800,000. So significant growth. And he made promises if he met these metrics of EBITDA, of revenues, of market cap, that he would get this extraordinary compensation. And the compensation, when he started, when the contract was signed, it was the company's market value was $53 billion. Mm-hmm. It got as high as $1 trillion. And it's now $550 billion. I think in the next 10 years, we're probably going to make 4 or 5 times our money again in Tesla. So he's created tremendous wealth for people, and he was paid, if this contract is enforced, which I think it should be, he's paid $56 billion. So it's like winning the lottery, if you, and Joe was talking about before, you win the lottery, you don't tell someone, oh, I'm sorry, you won so much money, you have to give it back.
I remember thinking at the time that the compensation deal was a crazy setup, but I also remember thinking at the time that I never thought he'd hit any of the metrics.
No one did.
He hit every one of the metrics. So it's hard to imagine taking that back and clawing it back.
Exactly. And so that's exactly how we viewed it. I said, man, if he hits this is fantastic. We're going to do so well. And again, he should have another contract going from this point going forward, where it's incented the same way, I'm hoping. So number one, the contract. So 73% in 2018, 73% of the investors approved it. All of the disinterested parties who are directors, they approved it. And the people he has who are directors, these are not flakes. They are Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest men in the world, Hiro Mizuno. He was the head of the Japanese pension fund, the largest pension fund in the world, $1.5 trillion. Kathleen Thomas, Walgreens, Boots. So he had really, and of course, Robin Denholm, who came later. But they all approved this, and they all thought this was a fair agreement. So basically, number one, all the disinterested directors approved it. Number two, that's the will of the company. the will of the company and the will of the shareholders. So I think he should be, it's a legally binding contract. And then who sued? You had an individual who was a shareholder for hire with 9 shares. 9 shares. The lawyer who represented them, when you talk about getting lucky, he has applied to the court for payment of $5.6 billion. $5.6 billion. And then he is asking for the payment to be made in shares of Tesla stock, which are depressed because of this lawsuit. It's crazy. He earned it, and he deserves it, and he should be paid it.
And Ron Barron's argument, much like his personality, is direct and to the point. None of the legal mumbo-jumbo stuff. It's very, very simple. He basically says one thing. If many, many years ago, we signed a contract in which you took up on yourself to achieve the impossible, and I told you, hey, you know what, sport, if you achieve the impossible, I'll give you $56 billion worth of compensation. And then years go by, he basically achieves every specific caveat in that contract to the T. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? You made me a lot of money, sir. Go right ahead. Here's your $56 billion of compensation. You deserved it. You earned it. But as I'm about to pay you, a judge from the state of Delaware that had nothing to do with our agreement comes in and tells me, well, you can't pay him that money because it is just too much. Basically, this is the whole story here. When Elon Musk made this contract, the market cap of Tesla was $53 billion. It has more than 10x since. He deserves it. He earned this. Now, Ron Barron also uses the lottery argument. You fill out a lottery ticket and you win, and then lottery doesn't pay out because, it's just too much. You just paid, $10 for a lottery ticket. Now you want all these millions. It's too much. It's not fair. It's the same argument. Now, what he also makes here is what I think is probably even the stronger argument is even if you go beyond the contractual legal issues, 73% of the shareholders of Tesla approved this in 2018. The board of directors approved this in 2018. And these were not some hiddly-diddly-do shareholders that don't know what they're talking about. We're talking about some massive shareholders. Larry Ellison, one of the OGs, approved this. And the list is very, very long. Ron Barron states some of these names. These are high-profile, sophisticated investors that all approved this in a majority of 73% years ago. Now, the person who is suing is a shareholder that has 9 shares of Tesla. And the point that Ron Barron is making by saying, oh, he has 9 shares, is not that this person is broke, is that this person really has very little vested interest in the success of Tesla. It is more a tool for the lawyers to sue Elon Musk and claim a compensation of $5.6 million for the legal proceedings. So, as any lawsuit you have in America right now, the only ones who make money are the lawyers. The company suffers, the shareholders suffer, nobody wins except the lawyers. Ain't nothing new here, and I completely agree with Ron Barron. Now, Ron Barron says one simple thing, guys. He earned it. He deserves it. We promised it. We shook our hand. It's all there is to it. We would have paid him even if he didn't have a contract because we shook on it. Simple as that. And that's why I like Ron Barron so much, because he actually means it. He would pay a mother lover $56 billion just on a handshake. Now, he was also asked about a key man risk. What happens to Elon Musk and Tesla if this thing does not get approved?
You've said for a long time, when we've asked you what your biggest concern about Tesla would be, is the key man theory, that so much is riding on Elon Musk being there. If he's not there, you don't think the company is worth the same. So what do you think happens if this package is not approved? What will Elon do?
I can't see inside of his mind, but I know that he has created tremendous value for everyone. I know he has a big stake in Tesla. But when I started in business in 1970, one of the people who really helped me at the very beginning of my career was Jay Pritzker. He's Tom Pritzker's dad, and he's the founder of Hyatt. And we were talking about arrangements, and he said, Ron, if you need to have a contract, then you're doing business you're doing business with the wrong person. You can't rely on a contract to do business, and you have to. He's a handshake guy. So if I say I'm going to do something, I do something. We said as Tesla as a company, Elon, if you perform, this is what you're going to get. How are you going to go back and renege on that, especially when all the directors and all the shareholders approve it? It's crazy.
If this thing does not get approved, this would be the equivalent of cutting the branch you're sitting on. The Tesla shareholders, by doing so, if they vote against it, may save themselves $56 billion, not even, I'll talk about that in a second, but they're going to lose Elon Musk. He's going to split his time, attention, and he's not going to put his full effort into Tesla the same way he did before. Simple as that. Now, 2018 was a long time ago, but if there's one thing that hasn't changed is that the American legal system is based on capitalism. When the court of law says that a compensation of an executive that was contractually agreed upon and voted on is excessive, I feel like it's the most communist thing I've ever heard, and I can't believe that this has happened in America. But beyond all the communist arguments or the contractual arguments and all that stuff, I think it will be a stupid move not to approve this. It will mostly hurt Tesla long term, and it's going to hurt the share price by a lot more than $56 billion. Not to even mention the fact that nobody in the media is talking about that Elon Musk is not getting $56 billion to begin with. Everybody's talking about it as if Elon Musk is about to get a check for $56 billion. That ain't it. It is an option plan. An option plan that requires Elon Musk to buy options, to spend $7 billion to buy options at a much, much reduced price. So it's not about a cash prize. It's about a 10-year option plan that's going to cost Elon Musk $7 billion. That's now worth $56 billion. It's a huge benefit. But it's not a cash reward out of the cash reserves of the company like they're making out to be. Now, as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you for spending these few minutes with me. I really appreciate it. If you just want to educate some people about this whole Tesla Elon Musk situation, send them this video, explain to them what's going on. Don't let them be fooled by the mainstream media. I'll see you in the next one.